We'll do a bunch of stuff. I love that tune.
Hello and welcome to Field Talk. I am the Field, and I'm sorry guys, I messed that up. Let me try again. Hello, good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I'm the Field, also known as Field of Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Tonight, I wear a fez, because it is a night to celebrate. I now have 103 subscribers on YouTube, which I find something worth celebrating. If you want to see me wearing that purple chicken hat, then you need to do your part to get us up to 200 subscribers. Now let's get right into it. On Apes and Racism. Planet of the Apes is a movie about the perils of humanity holding themselves as the supreme masters of the earth. Spoiler alert, the Planet of the Apes is actually Earth post-nuclear holocaust. The theme of oppression runs throughout the film as the one intelligent human struggles for his freedom against the religious and scientific bigotry of the apes, changing the minds of the scientific chimps, but not the dogmatic orangutans or the aggressive gorillas. The film is a masterwork of suspense and subverted expectations, and its anti-racist message is delivered expertly. The apes were played by humans in creature makeup. The chimps were by white actors. Now the costumes and hairstyles have that retro sci-fi flair, and so look a little goofy to our modern eyes. But there are some people in the here and now who have similar fashions and haircuts. Hillary Clinton's pantsuits come to mind. My own shirt reminds me of Star Trek. If I had a bowl cut, I'd look like a blonde coconut. If you're high and a bit wacko, you might take notice of such similar fashions in real life and say so in an uncouth way. Yeah. As it turns out, Valerie Jarrett happens to look remarkably similar to the lead female chimp character played by a human in Planet of the Apes. I think it's her hairdo. People have all kinds of ape and monkey references in their speech, some positive, some negative. Going ape, grease monkey, monkeying around, calling your kiddos monkeys, calling a jerk a big ape, and sundries. There's nothing racist about these common phrases. What is racist is comparing a race of people to simians in order to suggest that they are a less evolved form of human, kind of like Charles Darwin did to the Irish. Screw you, Charlie. The massive anti-Irish bigotry in the U.S. was informed by the evolutionary theory, and I don't know if it drove the taxation that was the true cause of the Great Potato Famine, but it wouldn't surprise me. No, it wouldn't. In fact, at the time, the Irish were held in contempt beneath sub-Saharan Africans and those descended from them. Now, that is not to say that the black population was spared the bigoted treatment just because the Irish received the worst of it, nor that the Irish didn't have an easier time blending in due to their skin so fair that it carries a solar allergy. But it is to say that they weren't the only group compared to apes and monkeys in a blatant attempt to dehumanize them in order to justify mistreatment. The same was done to Native Americans at about the same time. The trouble is, very few people alive think that way anymore. Subhumanity was demolished in part because of the horrors of Hitler's genocidal mania. Then genocide started to matter to us, and we started seeing the signs that lead there. Due to the history I explained, I think that ape-referential language carries with it the risk of being falsely identified as bigotry, especially when you have cause to be extra sensitive to bigotry and its historic results. If you're high, wacky, up too late, you might not be thinking about how you're innocent of racism anyway. Joke about the appearance of somebody with a funny haircut might appear to the kind of people who are duly or unduly extra sensitive to racism. I can see how Ben got to that conclusion, but I think he made a logical jump due to extra sensitivity. Now that's Roseanne. On to Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson is not racist. Islam is not a race. Reporting bans are unjust. Ben should know this already, but he's either hedging himself to protect from leftist attacks, which I get, or he's operating on incomplete or compromised information, which is understandable. Nevertheless, he is wrong about his assessment of Tommy Robinson and Roseanne Barr. And there's my opening monologue, my dudes. Now, let's try and go get some of these posters, dudes. You're right. I do still like Ben. You guys should go get some of these posters. I put up a link on the Twitter. I think I should I'll put a link in the video description later. You're right, the third option might be malice, but Ben Shapiro hasn't demonstrated malice in the past, so I doubt it. I doubt malice from Ben Shapiro about Roseanne Barr or Tommy Robinson. He might just... It might also be that he doesn't have any particular care to take interest in doing his due diligence on these stories due to a personal dislike of the characters involved, Stampy Bear. But I don't think it goes quite so far as maliciousness. No, I don't think that Ben Shapiro is anti-nationalist either. I think he is very nationalistic. I think he's nationalistic in favor of America and nationalistic in favor of Israel. I think that he disagrees a lot with some conservatives over what the best course for the nation is, but I think that he does come from a place of good faith. Yeah, Dax Delius is right. Ben Shapiro, while very smart and very often is right about a very great many things, is still a human being and not a robot programmed to be correct about everything. So he will, from time to time, be wrong about a certain topic, and it is usually, since he is so smart, due to not looking into it as thoroughly as he ought to. So, Dax Dig Itulus. Okay, so Periscope is not working so good. That's unfortunate. The hat is due to celebration, Andrew. The hat celebrates the fact that I now have 103 subscribers. Digitalis. Digitalis. Dax Digitalis. Ah. Latin joke. I don't understand it. Yes, if you want to see me wearing that silly chicken hat, then we get to 200 subscribers. So far as Tommy Robinson goes, it's yeah, make it 104. Yes, please. Did somebody just subscribe? Fantastic. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Tommy Robinson. I can't say this enough. In order to keep the jury from being tainted by outside information, you don't stop the entire country from talking about a court case. That's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous, and it boggles the mind that A, they think it's enforceable, and B, they think it's just. So I think it's obviously the way to protect the jury from outside influence is to sequester them. This is the obvious, most practical, cheapest, and most just way to do it. Yeah, oh, thank you, Stampy Bear. And on top of that, there wasn't even a jury to be prejudiced. It was on to sentencing, and the sentence is done by the judge. Pretty sure in the UK that's how it works, right? I don't know how the UK works. Like Tommy was convicted of breaching his suspended sentence, which I guess is like a parole, without a jury trial, like an automatic thing, bench trial. And on top of that, he couldn't have his own solicitor, which I guess is what a lawyer is called there. So there's absolutely nothing about the Tommy Robinson situation that can be in any way construed as just. And so you might not like the fact that he talks Cockney like this, and he's a bit rough around the edges, mate, and he'll knock you the F out if you get in his face too much. But that doesn't mean that you can just brush him off your shoulder because he's from a different kind of culture than you. A rougher culture, a more rough and tumble culture. Like, just because you live in this erudite intellectual space where everyone solves their problems peacefully and with well-articulated thoughts and precise language doesn't mean that you can just that you can look down your nose at the people who don't have that kind of culture. Like, obviously, it's better to solve problems with precise language. Obviously. If you have the precise language to do it, then that's what you use. But if you don't, then use what tools are available to you. And the working class British, they have blunt language, and they have reacting to violence with violence. Kind of like the South in America. Ben Shapiro knows this, and he hates it when the Southern accent is used as a facsimile for stupidity, even though it is quite evident that many Southerners, in fact I think most of them, are quite intelligent, and the South is not a country full of ignoramuses. So I think that Ben should probably look past The Guardian, look past the Daily Sun, look past all of these news articles that are saying that the protesters in favor of Free Tommy Robinson are just all EDL Nazis. Like, when the EDL got taken over by Nazis, Tommy Robinson got himself the heck out. Honestly, you can actually... Well, here's my proper accent, really. It's like my childhood one. It's got the tiny bit of the drawl in it because there was a whole bunch of Texans back where I lived as a kid. But the real California has actually seeped into me to this point where it's my more natural way of speaking. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Dax. You are right. Just look, those dudes in Houston, you know, tons of them had southern accents. I mean, it's Houston. Obviously. That's a great point, Dax. So, I don't want to accuse Ben of going off of the accent class kind of deal, but I think it might be kind of a subconscious thing. He might not realize he's doing it if he's doing it. But you see that a lot in Americans is they only pay attention to the British people who speak like this, like a proper Britisher. They pay attention to that. What's that jerk's name who Ben Shapiro absolutely destroyed? Piers Morgan. Yes. We have a little bit of a Piers Morgan. Oh, don't talk about knife control. That'll never happen. They talk like that, and Americans, a lot of us, are just so uninformed about other places that we just kind of think those are the smart ones because they sound smart. It's like I talked about earlier about the monk debate with Jordan B. Peterson, or I was talking about Eric Dyson and the way he speaks, and why he speaks the way he does with the rhythmic inflections, because there are actually a lot of auditory shortcuts in our brains to link up associations with what we hear. Because we're both predator and prey, we have to keep an ear out for mountain lions and wolves and all of that. Well, that's probably because you're the smart one, Andrew. But yeah, I don't think this is even exclusive to Americans. I think that a lot of people in the world fall prey to what sounds smart, because because a lot of people, they think, oh, if he's saying it, then he must understand it. Right. So when it comes to using big words, that might be a great way to trick people into thinking that you're smart, because they'll assume you understand what you're saying. And the other thing is what's novel to us sticks in our heads a little bit better. It's why people think that British accents are sexy, and Irish accents, and Spanish accents, and French accents, and generally accents that just aren't from where you're from. Women tend to think it's sexy because it's new and exotic and novel. If you're a particularly open person, it'll be even more attractive to you. That's right, Pastry Bear. The Fez is for celebrating, because we have 104 subscribers. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So I want to encourage people to go, and I'll find it again. Robinson. So yeah, Ben Shapiro and everyone needs to look past the news articles saying that everyone who's protesting is protesting because they're EDL Nazis, alt-right, and all that. They need to look past all of those articles and see them for what they are, which is slanderous propaganda, libelous. Yeah. So I got this poster. I think it's at Savo's website. Savo did this, or is it Savo? Savo. I tweeted it out, but I'm going to put it in the description right now. There it is. Changes are saved. Oh, no. Yeah, so Savo is awesome. Savo. Yeah, I put the link. I think that's his website, but that's where I got this poster. I couldn't find the Scotch tape before the show started. That's why it's not taped up on the map behind me, where you guys can see it the entire stream. But yeah, so I want to stress it as much as I possibly can. The right to speak is absolute. You cannot infringe on the right of an entire country to speak on a topic which is of dire interest to that entire country in order to preserve the neutrality of the jury, because A, it won't work, and B, it's an infringement on the right to speak. The way that you preserve a jury from being influenced by outside information is you sequester the jury. You can put them in a hotel under guard, and you can take away their phones, and you can take away TV and give them old books to pass the time with, probably on law. Let's satisfy my paranoia. You don't need to violate the rights of the country in order to do what you want to do, which is preserve the jury's integrity. Well, Tommy didn't have a jury trial. You're right. That putting a reporting ban on a trial that was a bench trial is even worse. A bench trial in which he was not allowed to have his own solicitor, which is British for lawyer. What led to today's discussion was I heard that Ben Shapiro had a pretty hot take. A hot take on the Ben Shapiro show yesterday on Roseanne Barr and on Tommy Robinson. And of course, I'm passionate about freedom of speech, and I think that Islam is a political force that needs to be opposed with great vigor. I don't know which is the greater threat to life and liberty, Islam or communism. I honestly am not sure. I mean, Islam has been around for much longer and done far much more damage, but communism in the 20th century sure did take a big wallop at Europe and managed to wipe out large fractions of the populations there. That's what led to it, Dylan. So, this, in general fashion, as well as I listened to Ben Shapiro's show, and he doesn't explain why Roseanne Barr's comments were unacceptable. No one can explain why. Why is it not acceptable to say that someone with a funny haircut looks like someone from a sci-fi movie? Like, you can say I have a Star Trek shirt, Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know, Pastry Bear. I think New Communism claims to be very gay friendly. They're probably lying, though. Dylan over on Periscope thinks that they have the same threat level, except that communism worships the state. They're both idolaters in my book. Yeah, Dax has a good point. They are super gay friendly as long as you're a gay communist. Yeah, my meme game was on point. I love I love using King James sort of speech to make economic arguments. I think it's hilarious. I really hope it catches on. I really do. I hope you guys like the memes I made. I enjoy them, but it's like I enjoy hashtag Shire Twitter, but you might not enjoy Shire Twitter as much as I do. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, back to Islam. It's like I'll go back to this idea I've been having recently. I don't think that there can be really racism or really misogyny or really misandry. I don't think that there can actually be those things, and I'll tell you why. Like, you might think I'm saying crazy things right now. Yeah, High Space Battleship, yeah. Is your lefty saying they didn't happen because they happened? And it's all over the country. It's not just Rotherham anymore. It's not, and it never was just Rotherham, obviously. So I need to explain my crazy talk. And if you're one of my regular dudes, then you've probably heard this idea set. Is I don't think there can be real racism or real misogyny or real misandry, because I don't think you can actually hate a part of humanity without hating the whole of humanity. I think racists and sexists and bigots, hateful bigots of all other stripes, are actually just misanthropes who have targeted outlets for their general hatred of humanity. Pakistan's hidden shame. Yeah. But like, no, it doesn't have. No, it's like it's ridiculous. There's not a Sikh rape gang problem in Britain, is there, or Canada? There's not a there's not a Chinese rape gang problem in Britain or Canada, is there? No, it's just the one group that does that. The one group of immigrants. The other immigrants are perfectly okay to not run around raping children. So why can't the other groups of immigrants do this? They can, they just don't, because they have an evil idea in their heads, and they're misanthropes, and they worship a misanthropic god. Just like the communists. Communism hates humanity. That's why it kills so many people. Allah is a misanthrope. That might be kind of a hot take. It's like Pakistan's hidden shame. Is that a documentary, Space Battleship? Look, I think Dax, I'm not, I think that he's Jesus, and he has three aspects known as Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and he is love incarnate. So All right. I'll definitely look. I'll definitely look it up and play it on my big screen in my nice, cool house with a concrete floor. You know, I think that my floor is horrible in the winter, but it's amazing this time of year. My studio is up off the ground, and it is boiling in here right now. Yes, amen, brother Dax. I'm really sorry we couldn't talk to Jack. He is actually pretty great on theology, and we had a great conversation about theology last week. I think that next week he'll actually be here at the ranch, so we can talk about the history of the Baptist Church. I think would be pretty cool. What do you guys think? Or Baptist churches? They're not really I don't know how unified the Baptist denomination is. I'll ask him about that actually. That would be fun. That's a fun question, isn't it? Yeah. So I need to do. Should I start having longer monologues? Because when I'm not fighting technology to make it work. Speaking of which, how's the YouTube stream looking, guys? Let me know. Everything sounds. Let me know how things are looking and sounding, guys. I changed. We got an internet upgrade. Awesome. All right, so we're getting some positive feedback on that. We got an internet upgrade handled today, so that I've got faster upload speeds, so I could raise the bit rate. So I'm hoping that I look a little bit better on stream. Hoping. I'm really hoping. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit more about racism. So the left just found out about a 4chan bot, which didn't catch on. I don't think the Periscope likes it when I go long. Maybe I'll take it off of Periscope for the main show, and I'll just use Periscope for updates and short stuff and cool stuff like that. Give you guys little live snips of ranch life on the Periscope. What do you think of that? Maybe the Periscope shouldn't be for the show. I'll wait for you guys to catch up. Periscope should not be for the show. But yeah, so well, it's just I don't think that the Periscope likes it when I go past 10 minutes. It starts not behaving properly. So let's talk a little bit more about the left end. So I said okay, and then of course I thought about the okay sign. Whichever side it is. Anyway, I started thinking about that 4chan op that they fell for, and many of them still think is totes for reals, dudes. How they got tricked into thinking that the OK sign is a alt-right Nazi dog whistle for white power. So they fell for that. I'm not sure what the Gavin McInnes's theory on racism is. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I think that they're just misanthropes. I think they hate humanity. I think that you can't actually hate part of humanity without hating all of it. I don't know, but it's like the people who say that they hate just one group end up willing to do awful things to everyone else, right? Like, yeesh. Let's try it. That better? Oh, it's so hot in here, the fan. Yeah, I think you can't, because the people who say they're like the kill all men feminists, right? The kill all men feminists, they are just as willing to turn around and call just a woman who doesn't agree with them 100%. They're perfectly willing to be like Samantha Bee and turn around and call them awful names. And I'm trying to not cuss very much on this show because I want it to be appropriate for all ages. But I don't like using euphemisms, so I'm going to say it. They're willing to say that the word cunt is the worst thing you can possibly call a woman, and no one should ever do it, and how dare you ever use that word. And then they're perfectly willing to turn right around, after saying kill all men, of course, and call a woman the cunt word. Exactly, Stampy Bear. I think that calling people toxic, calling any human toxic, like, if you want to call behaviors toxic, fine. Because the toxic behavior is toxic to both the person doing that behavior and the person it's being done to, right? And I'd rather call it caustic because it's like an acid, it burns you. I'd rather call it caustic than toxic because you don't ingest it, you don't breathe behavior. It comes up against you and causes damage immediately. Yeah. Hey, Boulder Bear. It's getting so dang hot in here. I think it's going to end up just being a 40-minute show, guys. Hi, Boulder. Welcome back. You missed the monologue, and you've missed our Tommy Robinson discussion. Actually, so Vanity Fair has an article out right now about a woman who keeps fruit in her lower regions enveloped by her baby cannon so that her husband can later eat that fruit once expelled. I want to get an AC unit to put in the studio. Docs, that would be fantastic. I think we're going to go with the split air unit. However, my youngest brother has chosen a date for his wedding. That date is... Now, I don't think anyone needs to hear that, but it's on Vanity Fair. It's on the mainstream media, guys. That's what's important to report in the news right now. You know, not this. Not the fact that someone has been sent to prison in the United Kingdom for words. Not that, but, you know, baby cannon fruit to be consumed by husband later. That's what's important. So we have this article about weird sexual things that this woman does with fruit in her vagina. And we've also got these weird kind of... I saw on Sugar Tits' channel, another great, not known bear, like she was a bear before Owen hit the internet big. So I don't even know if she knows about us, but she's pretty great. Go subscribe if you haven't already. But this woman had had cosmetic surgery on her baby cannon, and then saved the bits in rosin and made a necklace pendant out of it. Yes, subscribe to Bearing as well. I was pretty annoyed with this channel getting nuked, but he has it back. No, Boulder Bear, he has the channel back. Yeah, no, it's back. It's back, Boulder Bear. I'm telling you, it's back. YouTube must be messing with your subscription feed again. Yeah. Yeah, it's back. Those are two really great bears, and you should be subscribed. But anyway, my larger point is this. Why are women continually reducing themselves to their genitals? Not women, not all women, hashtag not all, and I shouldn't have said women, obviously. I should be more precise and say feminist. Feminists. Why are feminists constantly reducing themselves down to their genitals, and why is that constantly getting put on the front page of the mainstream fake news instead of important things like this? I don't understand. Yeah, I know. Sometimes, well, because most feminists are women, and they say women all the time, and it's a Pavlovian trick, Mama Bear. So, and I fell for it for a little while when I was like 12, but it's a linguistic thing that's hard to get out of your tongue. And I hate linguistic tricks. That's what annoyed me so much about the cadence stylings of our good friend, the vacuum cleaner, Eric Dyson. Hey. Yeah, I know. I want to always be as precise with my language as I can possibly be, and I shouldn't speak carelessly. But you know, a lot of women who aren't feminists, who have fallen for this, they don't do crazy weird things with their genitals, but they do fall for the feminist tricks sometimes. A lot of times. And more important, well, equally important, well, I don't know how much more or less important it is, but I'm not sure if it's equal, but the importance is there, that men fall for it as well. And I think it might be more important because men in powerful positions like senators, because there are more male senators and representatives and other such officials, they also fall for the feminist tricks about the most defining part of a woman being her genitals. Is it this space? Is that the same leftist who's denying the seriousness of roving rape gangs who have an ideological motive to demoralize the country? Like, I think that theologically, I think that all Islam is wrong, but practically, obviously there are some sects of Islam which are worse than others. I think that Wahhabism and Salafism are intolerable. Hey, if you were in the kitchen, can you bring me a sandwich? Yeah, you're right, Boulder. Being reductive does make it easier to play the victim card to try to elicit sympathy. And I think that using sympathy to have personal gain, to get either financial or social gain, I think that it's reprehensible, and I couldn't understand doing that. It wouldn't sit right in the pit of my stomach. You know? Like, when you do something like that, it just wouldn't sit right in your core, in your being. It's like, you want to be able to move and act in the world effectively, right? Isn't that what we want to do? Yeah, Stampy Bear comes up with a great point. Like, why I accidentally misspoke earlier, I have zero filter. Well, that's not quite true. See? First thing that popped into my head. But I have a very loose filter with lots and lots of holes in it. So it's probably as a consequence of having an atypical neurology. So I end up saying things that, while not intended to be rude, are easily understood as rude all of the time. And it might not always be quite appropriate to give your opinion on that topic in this situation, Ryan. But, I do. Just a whole pizza just for yourself? Folder. A whole pizza? Man, you're crazy. Yeah, so. Yeah. Are you glad how ineffective my filter is, Mama Bear? I'll tell my mama that. She will, she will disagree with you. But, yeah. So, yeah, it is probably a consequence of my autistic brain, but I have trained myself to speak more precisely and more carefully through feedback from people who I trust to tell me what I did, which was not the best possible way to express myself. Yeah, so yeah, if you're dealing with an autistic person or an Aspie, that's something that you have to, like, if they trust you, then you have to tell them exactly what they said and how other people took it if they've been rude in a situation. It has to be explained to someone like me step by step, logically. And I'm going to, take an emotional moment to thank God and my mom, thank God for my mom and dad for being the kind of people who could do that for me. So a little bit of a tangent right there. And so tomorrow is Sunday, of course, and since my graphics card doesn't allow us to, all of my emotions are real, Boulder Bear, all of them. But gratitude is sometimes difficult to express, and I don't like the sensations of upwelling positive emotions that are outside of my control to be expressed verbally and through tears. I dislike those sensations. Well, I'm high functioning, so I do blend in fairly well, and I have very good training. Thanks to my parents, I have very good training on how to be sociable. So it's like, that's a very high compliment to my parents, Mama Bear. But It's like my autistic brain does allow me to tell stories very well, which is why you guys are enjoying Oso Grande so much. And I have my notebook, and I will sit down at the keyboard when it's much cooler, and I will start pounding out the ideas we came up with yesterday. But tomorrow is Sunday, so that means no stream, because Sundays is for church. But Monday, I'm sure something will have happened by 5 o'clock that will give me sufficient cause to come up with a good monologue to write for you guys. I don't know if you guys want to tweet. But actually, I think I want to cut out this monologue tonight. I'm going to cut it out, this explanation, and have it as a short video, right, for you guys to like and share, and also like and share this stream if you enjoyed it. This has been Field Talk with The Field, also known as Field of Bears. Go to paypal.me/fieldtalk if you want to sow the field, and follow me on Twitter at Field of Bears. Link in the description to both of those. Subscribe if you want to get notifications. Hit the bell if you want to have push notifications. And as always, never forget that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide.